The shir will be dedicated to Refuah Shlema of
Malka Riza,
Malka Riza,
Mildred.
Bas Mildred. Okay, Refuah Shlema.
Amen.
Okay, we're going to start with Bava Metzia, Kuf Ches. Okay, we've done a number of Gemaras in Bava Metzia. This is going to be, I think, the last one in Bava Metzia, but it's going to be a long one. We have done this before. We did this on another sugya. But now we're going to see this sugya really. We mentioned the asisa v'yashar v'hatov that's embedded in this sugya. We saw it more in a derech agavdika way, and now we're going to see it very much more practical how the asisa v'yashar v'hatov plays out in practical terms. So we want Kuf Ches Amud Aleph, and it is 4 lines before it gets wide. We're going to be doing the sugyas of Bar Metzra. Hopefully everybody remembers that we did it, but we did it a long time ago, and it's a good chazara. Okay, Amar Rav. Haiman, everybody with me inside. Haiman, de achzik bene achi u bene shutfi. Chetzifa have sluki lo misalkina. Okay, says Rashi. Let's do. Bene achi. Okay, the Rashi is Dibur Amachil Bene achi. Okay, it's 2, 4, 6, 7 lines from the top, from the wide lines. So what's the scenario? So what is this guy doing? He's being machzik bene achi soda halmedes likach betaska. The Gemara talks here about the fields. The people abandon them, and the government says anybody who pays the taxes gets the field. So there's a field that is adjacent to fields of 2 brothers. Sodos shnei achim smuchin lo mikan umikan. So the picture is we have a field on the north and a field on the south. In the middle of this field, that's basically available for anybody to come in, get it, by paying the taxes to the government. So that's what this guy did. Again, so what did he do? Haiman de achzik bene achi u bene shutfi. There were either 2 shutfim that were shutfim in fields, but this one was right, was adjacent, or 2 brothers who had fields adjacent. So what is the status of this guy? Chatzifa havi. He's a chutzpahdik. The sluki lo misalkinale. But we can call him a chutzpahdik. Apparently, there is such a status. As a negative status, we have the right to impute to him the status of chutzpah. All right, and that apparently used to have social ramifications. But there's no way we can remove him. In other words, remove him would mean, obviously we don't just kick him out, remove him would mean that we give him the money he paid to the government and we get to keep the field. We could force that on it. Says the Gemara, no, you can't do that. Okay? So, again, Haiman da'achzik bene achi u bene shutfi chsifa havi sluki lo misalkina le. V'Rav Nachman Omar nami misalkina. Rav Nachman holds I could get rid of him, meaning it's not just chutzpah, but we have the right to give him the money. Says Rashi, no, not yet. The next one, not yet. Okay. The imishum dina de bar metzra lo misalkinan le. What does that mean? Says Rashi. What's the scenario? We're changing the scenario now. Imishum dina de bar metzra im enon lo achim velo shutfim. Elamikoach metzranus boyin al hamachzik, meaning he didn't buy a field between brothers or partners. He just bought a field that was adjacent to somebody's field. Then elamikoach metzranus boyin al hamachzik. So the taina is that we're adjacent, and therefore we should have first refusal rights, and therefore we want to remove you and pay you. Okay. The omrim anu hayinu mitzapim lekachta she'anu tzrichim lekarka v'tov lechol echad liknot b'samuch lo v'lo likoch b'mokom acher. That's the din of bar metzra. Bar metzra means that I have adjacency to the field. Again, we did this whole sugya, but let's review it. I have adjacency to the field, and therefore I have an advantage to have my field adjacent to this new field that's up for tax reclamation, and therefore I should be entitled to give you the money and send you away. That is bar metzra. Im mishum dinah de bar metzra, im einan, I'm in Rashi. Im einan lo achim v'lo shutfim ela mikoch metzronus bo'in al hamachzik. The omrim anu ayinu mitzapim lekachta shalot shichim lekarka v'tov l'chol echad liknot b'samach lo v'lo likoch b'makom acher. So then, what does it say? Right? The imi imi shum dinah de bar metzra lo misalkin le. If their taina is simply bar metzra, then you can't get rid of them. So we've got, again, let's go step by step. Is achzik b'nei achi u'b'nei shutfi. The first opinion is lo misalkin le. Rav Nachman says yes misalkin le. Okay, because it's achin v'shutfin. But imishum dinah de bar metzra lo misalkin le. If they're not achim and shutfim there, then just being adjacent doesn't give you the right misalkin le. And nahardoi amri afilu mishum dinah de bar metzra yes misalkin le. Okay. Says Rashi on the lo misalkin le that a bar metzra lo misalkin le de lo ichpat lan le dinah de bar metzra klal. He doesn't hold to the din de bar metzra. Okay. So again, Rav Nachman does not hold the din de bar metzra. Comes along Rabbi Nardoy and says yes, misalkin le mishum dinah de bar metzra, even if he's only adjacent and not a brother or a partner. Asisa hayosher v'atov be'enei Hashem. Says Rashi. Here we are. This is the key. The Asisa Yosher V'Atov. Davar she'i ata nechsar kol kach. You're not losing so much. Shetimtza karkaos b'mokom acher. You could find similar property. Again, we're talking here about agricultural fields that pretty much they're all similar. V'lo tatriach al ben hametzar liot nechasav mechulakim. And if you take this, you're going to force the bar metzra to have divided fields, meaning there is a field for $10,000. So if you take it, the bar metzra is going to have to take his $10,000 and go to find a field somewhere else. Whereas here he can have adjacency, and you take your $10,000 and find a field somewhere else because it doesn't matter that much to you. Okay, so that is Dina de Bar Metzra, that Nardoy holds there is a Dina de Bar Metzra. Where does it come from? It comes from Vasisa Hayosh Vato. Okay, now that's going to have a lot of contingencies. Imlach Bey, the buyer consults with the adjacent, with the owner of the adjacent field. Omar Lei, Eisel Isbun. Again, now we're not talking anymore about the tax fields. We're talking here about a real purchase. So Ruvain owns a field, and next to it, Shimon is selling a field. Comes along Levi, who wants to buy Shimon's field, and he asks Ruvain, "Hey, what do you think? Is this a good deal? You think I should buy Shimon's field?" Ezel is right. Ezel Isbun. The Amar Le Zil Zavun, and he says, yeah, great idea. Why don't you go buy it? And then, of course, after Levi buys it from Shimon, now Reuben wants to give Bar Metzra and give him the money and get rid of it. Okay, I believe there's Rashi here. Please, every single one of these scenarios is going to give us the contours of how we apply Asisa Hayosher Vatov. Also, in Luchbei, Soda Hayotze Limacher. Shimon is selling a field next to Reuven's. Ubo Acher, Levi, the Notal Rishus Mi Ben HaMetzra. And he got permission from Reuven to buy Shimon's field. The Omar Le Zils of it? Absolutely. Go ahead and buy it. So what's the din? The Omar Le Zils of it? Sorech lemikne mine olo. Meaning, is the verbal agreement, the verbal advice to buy it, so that already gives Levi permission, or Shimon Reuven can say, I changed my mind. I didn't lose my rights just because I told you to buy it. So Ravina Omar Lo Tzarich Lemikne Mineh. The verbal agreement is sufficient, obviously, as long as there are witnesses that Reuven agreed to let Levi buy it. Nardoi Amar Tzarich Lemikne Mineh. But Lardoi says, no, there has to be a kinyan, meaning the words alone do not deprive Reuven of his rights. Okay, so now says Rashi, why? Because if it was only verbal, what claim could Reuven have to justify having given Levi permission to buy the adjacent field and then turn around and say, now I'm going to kick you out as a bar mitzvah? Because Motzi Omer Le, I wasn't serious. Why? You got a reason why you weren't serious. You can't just say I wasn't serious. Because I needed to establish the fair price. See, if I would have said, no, I'm going to buy it, and Reuven, would have come to Shimon, and Shimon knows how desperate I am for the field because I want to have adjacency, he would have raised the price. So therefore, when you buy it, he's going to have to sell it to you as the fair price. He's not going to be able to squeeze you. So I needed to make sure that we get the fair price. So therefore, I told you buy it so that I could get the fair price, but that wasn't but I didn't intend to forego my bar mitzvah rights. But with a kinyan, you can't say that anymore. Okay. Again, I hope you guys remember this more or less, but certainly we're doing it fresh. Any questions on this still here? You can go ahead. Yeah, don't hesitate.
Okay. I'm just wondering, isn't there a Lifnei Iver problem over here?
I'm not sure. I don't understand who's violating Lifnei Iver and what Avera to whom.
The bar mitzvah. In other words, I think they say the classic case of a Lifnei Iver. Somebody asked me advice, should I buy it? And you told me it's a good deal, but you're doing it for your own interests.
No. There's a big difference. You're giving bad advice to somebody who's going to lose money for your benefit.
Mm-hmm.
Levi's losing no money. Levi is going to buy it from Shimon and then right away get his money back.
Okay.
You'll see if that's not the case, things are going to change. We're talking here where the minute Levi buys it, the next day Reuven's there with a check to give Levi his money back. So as far as Levi's concerned, he's in exactly the same place he was before Reuven gave him the advice.
Only that he followed advice that didn't end him up getting what he wanted because of the intentions of the bar mitzvah.
That's not Lifnei Iver. I'm sorry. That's not.
Okay.
That's not Lifnei Iver. By the way, I'm not even sure that that's Lifnei Iver. That's Yoatz Nura. I'm not sure that that's a Lifnei Iver. Again, no, if the guy loses because of it, certainly a Lifnei Iver. Mm-hmm. But again, Shimon did not lose anything. Levi did not lose anything. Got to realize that. Okay? As we'll see, if he does, then he may have recourse. Okay. Continues the Gemara. Now that Nahardoi says, Tzarich lemikni le, Hilchasot tzarich lemikni minei, Hashda di amrit tzarich lemikni minei, Ilo kanu minei. So now we're going to get some nice, very interesting permutations. So Levi asked, should I buy it? And Shimon and Reuven said, go ahead and buy it. And then Shimon bought it for $10,000. And overnight, Ikur or Zul, the price went up or the price went down. So now when Reuven is coming to give Shimon the money that he put out, the price of the field is not what Shimon paid for, what Levi paid for it anymore. The price either went up or went down. Birshute Zovan. I'm sorry, Ikur Vizol Birshute. Says Rashi, what does that mean? Remember, he didn't make a kinyan, so therefore he has the rights to basically remove Levi from the field. So Levi bought the field. So what we're going to say is that when Levi bought the field of a bar mitzvah, and remember, what was Levi's mistake? He just relied on Reuven's verbal assurance that it's good field to buy, and he didn't take a kinyan. He didn't make Reuven commit not to activate bar metzra. So since Reuven didn't commit to activate bar metzra, we have the din of bar metzra. Okay, so Levi bought it with a bar metzra din of Reuven. What are the consequences of that? Says Rashi. Hashta di Amrit, fourth line from the bottom. Again, these are all going to show us the contours of Asisa Vayasher Vatov. Hashta di Amrit sark lemikni minei. Imkain, ein kinyono shel zeh klum. So if Levi needed Reuven to make a kinyan commitment that he's not activating bar mitzvah, so then when Levi bought it, he really bought a very almost a virtual kinyan, because the next day or the next moment he can be removed. So his kinyan is not a stable, irreversible kinyan. So therefore, im aiker ozol ara birshusa de bar metzra aikur ozol. The appreciation or the depreciation accrues to the bar metzra. V'lo yosif v'lo yigra halokeach milekabel damim shenosan ba. The bar metzra, the guy who bought it, can't demand a higher price, right? He can't demand a higher price, and he's got to take the market price. Okay, and if it depreciated, then the depreciation also happens in the reshus of the bar metzra. Okay, and the bar metzra now, here's what happened: the Levi bought it for $10,000. Okay, and now when Reuven comes to activate the bar metzra, the field is only worth $9,000. So what does Reuven want to do?
Pay only $9,000.
Reuven wants to pay $9,000 to get the field.
Right.
Now it's only worth $9,000. So on the one hand, I have a right of bar metzra, so I can get you off. And on the other hand, I'm going to give you the value of the field. No. That we don't say no. In other words, if you're activating bar metzra, what we're doing is we're turning the buyer into your shliach, and therefore whatever happened is in your responsibility. And therefore, if it went up in price, Shimon cannot demand more money. You got some money that you paid. Here it is. Here's the money you paid. On the other hand, it went down in price. Reuven can't get rid of him unless he's ready to pay the full price that Shimon paid, that Levi paid. Let's see that inside in Rashi. Klum. So really, Levi's kinyan is a virtual kinyan. Okay, it's a virtual kinyan.
Tanai, as it were.
What?
It's al Tanai, as it were, because it's subject to the preemption by the bar mitzvah.
Let's not call it that. No, it's less than that. It's not al Tanai. No, it's not al Tanai. It's low klum. I'm looking for another word besides virtual. It's a virtual
Conditional.
Kinyan. Not a real kinyan. No, it's not conditional either. I'm looking for. There's another word in the internet world where something is vapor. It's virtual. It's not real. It's not real. It's virtual. Josh, you have a better word for me? Okay. So again, it's not al Tanai. That's not correct. That's not what Rashi says. Okay. So Iker or Zol Ara Bishusei Debar Metzra. Iker or Zol. V'lo Yosef v'lo Yigra halokeach milakabel damim shenosan ba. Why? Dechi Iker Ravcha Debar Metzru v'chi Zol Pseida Debar Metzru. If it goes up, the bar metzra benefits. If it goes down, the bar metzra loses. Meaning he puts out the money that Levi gave, and that's it. Okay, back inside in the Gemara. All right, yeah. Okay, I go to say now some more permutations. Zovan b'meya. Levi bought it for 100. Levi bought it for 10,000. Vishavi masa, but it's really worth 200,000. So Levi now has a field worth $200,000 that he bought for $100,000. Bar Metzra comes along Reuven and says, Bar Metzra, I'm going to give you back the money that you paid. And Shimon would say, I'm very sorry. It's worth $200,000. So what happens? So we say Chazina. We got to see.
Rabbi, I don't get the case.
Okay, the case is very simple. There is a
How did the guy get away with 100,000 if it was worth 200?
because Daniel, you never heard of somebody needing cash to sell something at a cheap price?
Oh, it's just a huge difference and whatever. Like it's.
But I get fine. I use an example. The Gemara says an extreme example. Fine. It was worth 10,000. It was worth 12,000. You got it for 10,000. Okay, does that make that better for you?
Okay, fine, whatever. Okay, fine. It was cash strapped. Okay.
It depends. Ila kule alma kamozila umazbin. If the seller was selling it at a fire sale, he put it out as a sale. Anybody gives me 100,000, I'm going to take the 100,000. So anybody could have gotten that deal. So then the bar mitzvah also could have gotten that deal. So then he only has to give Shimon 100,000. He only has to give Levi 100,000. Okay? Yoyle mea v'shakile. But elo. But if he only lowered the price specifically for Shimon, he did Shimon a favor. He owed him a favor or whatever, but he would never have sold it to anybody else for that price. Then Yoyle must, and he has to give him the full value. V'shakile. Again, let's understand how this already integrates into the V'asisa Yasher Vatov. And this is going to be one of the rules. This whole din of Bar Metzra, Asisa Yasher Vatov, we're going to see it in many cases on the next page. And maybe if you guys remember the sugya from a year or two ago, you'll realize. But Asisa Yasher Vatov means you have to do something that doesn't cost you anything for my benefit. But you don't have to do something for my benefit if you're going to lose. Right, that maybe go under Chesed. That doesn't go under Vasisa Yasher Vatov. Okay? And since Shimon got a great deal, personal deal, he's not required to give that up to Reuven and forego his personal benefit. But if this was available to everybody, so then Reuven also was entitled to it. And therefore he can give him only 100,000. But now what are the opposite deal? The opposite direction. Zovan b'mosan v'shavya meya. What about the opposite? It was worth 100,000, and Shimon's a sucker, and he paid 200,000, or he was desperate, whatever reason. Shimon overpaid, and now Reuven comes. Levi overpaid, and now Reuven comes knocking on the door, Bar Metzra, and Shimon shows the receipt, and Levi shows the receipt. I paid 200,000 for it. Please give me 200,000. And Reuben says, "Are you kidding? That's $100,000 field. I'm only mechuyev to give you $100,000." But Levi says, "I paid 200,000," and he proves it. So sover minei motzi amar leile tikunish darticha v'lo livute. What does that mean? So what it implies here, let's see the Rashi.
Just translate that phrase.
I will in a second. I'm just seeing if Rashi does anything for us. No. Okay. So I'll tell you like this. This is a standard phrase when you send a shliach and the shliach messes up. When a shliach messes up, you're not liable. You don't suffer the messed up consequences of a shliach that messed up. Because what we say is he really wasn't a shliach. He was a shliach to do X. Here, I will give you a simple example. I send you to the Makola to buy a bag of milk for me as a shliach. So if you bought milk as a shliach, and when you went and I'm buying this milk as a shliach for Rabbi Karlinsky, and then on the way home you get a phone call from your wife, Pinchas, we need milk. So are you allowed to take that milk and bring it home? Pinchas.
My house?
Yeah, are you allowed to keep the milk?
I'm a shaliach. I'm supposed to.
You bought the milk as a shliach, but now your wife needs the milk, so you want to undo the shlichus.
Nope.
No, because the minute you bought it for me, it's mine. But how about if you walked into the store and sent you as a shliach to buy me milk, and you go into the store and you tell the owner, I'm buying cottage cheese as a shliach for Rabbi Karlinsky. Who owns the cottage cheese? Well, one thing for sure, I don't. We could have a machlokas between the storekeeper and you, whether you own the cottage cheese or not. But you did not do my shlichus. Can we agree? Is that obvious?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Fine. So now, if I send you to the makolet to buy a bag of milk that normally costs 5 shekel, and you go to some, and that's the normal expectation, and you went to some crazy place and paid 9 shekel. And then you come home to me and you say, "Here, Rabbi, here's your milk. Please give me 9 shekel." And I say, "What are you talking about? Milk costs 5 shekel." Well, I paid 9 shekel for it. Now I'll translate the words. My response to you is litikune shidarticha, litikune from the word tikun. I sent you to fix. I sent you to do it right. All right? Lishidarticha, shadarti, I sent you. Liivute, to corrupt, to mess up, lo shadarticha. I never sent you to mess up. Okay? So how does that apply here? Because since the field is worth 100, we're viewing the buyer when there's a din of bar mitzvah. This is a big chiddush, but this is what the Gemara is saying, that we view the buyer of the field as a shliach of the bar mitzvah, because he bought the field and right away the bar mitzvah gets rid of it. So therefore, since he's viewed as a shliach, the owner could say litkunesh darticha v'lo li'ivute. That's what they wanted to say, and therefore, so what's going to be the consequences of that? He loses bar mitzvah, or he gets to give him 100,000 and walk and take the field. The shliach said that what's going on here? Let's understand what's going on. Reuven is a bar mitzvah to Shimon. Levi comes and buys Shimon's field, which Reuven has the right of bar mitzvah to, but he overpaid. And now Reuven's coming and he wants the field. And Levi's saying, I paid 120,000 for a $100,000 field. Please give me 120,000. What's Reuven's taina?
Well, did he really help him to buy the field?
Nope.
Meaning the bar mitzvah didn't do a thing. He didn't tell him nothing about the field.
Correct.
So then I guess he should pay him the 120.
How come when the price went up or the price went down, the bar mitzvah gains or loses? We say it's birshusei de bar mitzvah. How's it birshusei de bar mitzvah when it goes up or down before he activated his din of bar mitzvah? We understand. So what's the structure here?
It's a different case.
The principle is exactly the same.
So it must be a shlichus din.
There's an intrinsic shlichus concept here. That if you're telling me that when Levi bought the field from Shimon, and afterwards the price goes up or down, for Reuven to activate bar mitzvah, when he activates bar mitzvah, everything that happened was really in his rishus. He didn't do anything. The answer is that when Levi buys a field on which there's a din of bar mitzvah, he is acting as an agent for the bar mitzvah without him realizing it.
Without realizing it. Wow.
Or he's supposed to realize it. That's the point.
Oh.
He's supposed to realize it.
Okay.
That's why you had an opinion earlier. You had an opinion earlier that he's either a chutzpah or lo misalkin lay. It could be that when we say you're a bar mitzvah, you got to realize it. You're going to buy a field, and that's why we have the idea that Levi really is supposed to ask Reuven, is it okay to buy the field? Because Levi has to understand he's going to buy a field that belongs to Shimon, and Reuven is right there next door. Okay, if we don't, but halacha l'maisa nowadays we don't. But Lu Yitzuyer, we would activate dinah de bar mitzvah on apartments.
Right, I was just going to ask about that. That means any potential buyer has to put up a sign in a building where there's apartments for sale. Is there anybody here as a bar mitzvah that I should know about?
No.
Which is crazy.
No, but Lu Yitzuri, we would have a bar mitzvah. It wouldn't be 2 floors away. We would have the guy. If there's 2 apartments on a floor,
right? You have to ask the neighbor?
Yes, you have to ask the guy. You as the buyer should go and ask the neighbor, wait a minute, do you want to buy the apartment to expand? Because you have to realize that if, again, we paskin for various reasons that there's no din of bar mitzvah on apartments, but that's a separate din. But if there would be,
houses in America, whatever, one house next to the other in a row, right?
Row houses, yes, row houses, absolutely. If somebody's selling a house, you got to check with the neighbor, especially if it's normal that people sometimes buy the adjacent houses and expand. Absolutely, you would be mechuyev to take the initiative to ask the neighbor, are you planning on buying the house? And if he would say no, you better get it in writing.
Whoa.
Because if he says no, he may really want to do it, but he's afraid that he's going to be squeezed for the price, which is exactly kinyan.
Wacko. Wow. Is that Shura Sadin or Lifnim Shura Sadin?
It's neither. What is it?
Oh, well, it's one or the other, no?
Which means if he doesn't do it, the sale goes through. If he's not a mensch, then there's no way we can't force him to.
I beg your pardon.
How's the difference Yoshev Tov and
you're asking David's asking is Asisa Hayashav Hatov enforceable in court? And what does this Gemara tell you?
Well, Nahar Dai, for sure it was.
What does this Gemara tell you? We paskin like Nahar Dai. What does the Gemara tell you?
Well, if that's the
if it says misalkinan lay means that you force him off with the purchase price. Misalkinan is by force, not by agreement. Right? We don't ask him, please, would you like to please leave? And he says, no, I'm not going. That's not called misalkinan lay.
Parenthetically, Rabbi Karlinsky, can you just shine a little light on why this doesn't apply to apartment buildings?
No, not now. When we get to the very end, we will. When you see all of the conditions necessary for bar mitzvah, and it's all because of Asisa Yasher V'Hatov, you'll understand why it doesn't apply to apartments. Okay,
but on the same floor or
Daniel, right up? Daniel. If I'm asking you to wait till we finish the sugya, and if you still have a question, I will promise to answer it. Okay, but let's see. There's a whole Amud coming of permutation upon permutation. Okay, David, you don't look like a happy camper. Well, you muted. You just muted. Yeah.
1 second is because the Rav mentioned earlier where the guy was not Yosher Tov. And in that earlier case, just a few minutes ago, we said, listen, he didn't do the right thing, but...
which case?
The first case that we mentioned, I'm sorry, the first case...
I don't remember first cases. Tell me the case.
I'm sorry, I have to remember the case. I'm sorry, it's the years are getting on me.
There was no demand, again, the only time Asisha Vayashav kicks in is Bar Metzra, according to Nahar Dai. According to Rav Nachman, there is no Asisa Yasher Batov does not demand, but Bar Metzra does not have the right to demand Asisa Yasher Batov.
Okay, yeah, that's the Bar Metzra is the difference that made the difference. The case that we had earlier, which I'm sorry, I don't remember.
Ben Achi and Ben Shufi.
So there was no Bar Metzra, but he didn't really do the Yosher Batov. But
okay, so that's
like too bad.
That's exactly the point. Just a minute.
Okay.
Not everything that a person wants is entitled to, and you realize that the delta between a partner owning a field next to him and a bar metzra owning a field next to him, the delta of the bar metzra is a much greater benefit than for the partner. Okay, that's how you have to understand it.
And that's going to make it enforceable or not enforceable.
No, not enforceable or not enforceable. And it is whether there's a demand on remember, the demand here, Asisa Yasher Vatov, is on the buyer. So the buyer is not required to do Asisa Yasher Vatov to the benefit of the person if it's at his expense relative to the benefit. Again, we're dealing here maybe with quote cost benefit analysis. And that the idea of bar mitzvah is it doesn't matter to you whether you have a field here or there. To him, it matters a lot. But a shutuf, it doesn't matter a lot. It may matter a little. So that's not enough to activate Asisa Yasher Vatov. That's all. That's what it says. Again, these are exactly the parameters. We're trying to get the contours and the parameters of exactly how much is Asisa Yasher Vatov enforceable. There's always Asisa Yasher Vatov. It's a shame that Ephraim isn't on this because this is his big thing. Of course, the guy who bought it, Ben Shutfim, should forego the field.
Right, he's not going to get shlishi or shishi for doing this, but
Asisa Yasher Vatov in the halacha construct is when it's enforceable. Okay, there's always that abstract. Again, we're going to talk about this. We will talk about this. We got a lot of sources to see, and there's going to be a lot of different moving parts about when we activate it. Okay, so let's move on. Okay, so therefore the assumption was that when Levi overpaid, Reuven can say, "I'm very sorry. You were my shliach to buy the field, and you messed up." So wait a minute. So therefore, what happens? So let's read on. Okay. Where is it here? Yeah. So Zovan b'masan b'shavi meya sover minei matzi amar letune shavticha v'lo levute amar lemarchisha breder Rav Chizdel Rav Ashi hachi amar nahadoy mishum de Rav Nachman ein ono lekarkaos. What do you mean it was worth 100 and Shimon paid 200 and Levi paid 200? Who said it was worth 100? There was one guy ready to pay 100. Levi was ready to pay 200. You want it, you got to pay 200 because you can't tell me that's not a market price. Okay, it's not a cell phone and it's not a bag of milk. Karka, right? We know that the prior Josh will tell you real estate. Does real estate have a fixed objective price?
Absolutely not.
All right, it's all there's okay. So therefore, that's Eino No Lekarkos. Okay, so therefore, again, what's the halacha l'maisa here? If Levi paid 200 and Reuven wants it midinah de bar metzra, he's going to have to pay 200. Okay, whereas in the opposite direction, if it was worth 100, if it was worth 200 and Levi got it for 100, then it depends. Depends whether anybody could have gotten it for 100, in which case Reuven pays 100, or he did a special favor to Levi, and then Reuven has to pay the market price. Okay. Zavin le giryua de ara b'mitzia nachse. So we have a big field, okay, and okay, you got to understand. There's a big field. Now, when Reuven has a big field, Shimon is adjacent to Reuven. Shimon puts his field out for sale. Levi doesn't buy the field. Levi buys a piece of land inside Reuven's field. Okay, so Zavin le agruya de Arab mitzia nachse. I'm sorry, I got it wrong. I'm sorry. Reuven has a field. Okay, and Shimon now wants to sell the field. Okay, and Levi comes, and Levi buys a small piece of Shimon's field. And now Reuven wants it. So it says like this. Chazinan i'idisi oziburisi zvine zvini. Says Rashi. Be mitzvah dinachse. That's giura. Rashi has that. That's how Rashi understands. Oh, right. I'm sorry. Zovin le giura de Arab mitzvah nichse. What's mitzvah nichse? Shel mocher sodos. So hamocher makifos la mikol tzad. Okay, so the seller is surrounded, meaning the people around him have bar mitzvah rights. Chazina ni'idisi de bar de davar ha'osuli mocher le'atzmo she'eno dome l'shar sodos hasmuchos la zvine v'ein metzrone hamocher yicholim l'salko shariyesh b'neim hefsek. Again, so we've got 4 surrounding fields. and we have a mocher who has a field in the middle. So if the mocher would sell the whole field to Levi, any one of the Barei Metzra could kick Levi out. Okay? But that's not what happened. Shimon, the mocher, sold Levi a little piece of land in the middle of the field. Well, in the middle of the field, what do we say? Can the surrounding fields can the surrounding fields do anything?
No, because they're not.
So we say, wait a minute. We got to know whether there's some kind of a knunya going on here, because you realize what's going to happen. Here, let me show you what's happening here. Shimon wants to sell the field, and he doesn't want to sell it to his neighbors. He wants to sell it to Levi. But he realizes if he sells it to Levi, what's going to happen?
And the neighbors will
One of
take
the
it.
neighbors is going to kick him out.
Levi's going to get kicked out.
Right. I mean, for money. I mean, he'll get back.
So Shimon wants to sell it to Levi in a way that Levi can't get kicked out. So he goes and he sells him a little piece in the middle of the field. Now, once Levi owns in the middle of the field, and can he be kicked out? Can he be kicked out from that little piece in the middle of the field?
No, because the other guys are far away. The neighbors are, there's a buffer zone around.
Exactly, a buffer zone. That was a great phrase. Thank you, Daniel. A buffer zone. A week later, Levi now comes and buys the rest of the field. You realize he can't be kicked out. Why?
Because he was a neighbor.
He's a bar mitzvah just like them.
Right.
He's a bar mitzvah just like them.
And now he becomes equal to all of them.
And therefore he can't be kicked out. So we've got to see, wait a minute. So when Levi buys a little piece in the middle of Shimon's field, we got, wait a minute, what's going on here? Is this a knunya or is it serious? So you understand what the issue is now. Okay, so says the Gemara, we got to see.
How are you gonna know that?
How do you know what?
You're only gonna know if either way, like once he really buys the whole.
Oh, no, wait. Levi comes and buys a little piece in the middle of Shimon's field.
Right.
So now at that moment, we have to decide, does he have rights of bar mitzvah also on the rest of the field? Don't you? That's what we need to know, Daniel. No? We need to know now, in real time. After Levi bought that piece in the middle of Shimon's field, does that give him bar mitzvah rights equal to the neighbors?
Yeah, we need to know that. Yeah.
Everybody following the question?
How are we gonna
So how do we resolve that question? The answer is very simple. If we see that piece of land that he bought in the middle of Shimon's field, it's a very different kind of land. It's a little piece that's super good, or it's a piece of land that's junky junk, meaning it's something that somebody would sell alone, either because Shimon would sell it, I got to get rid of this, or Shimon or Levi would buy it because it's very special and Shimon would sell it. So then it's a sale. And then Levi becomes a bar mitzvah, meaning there's no knunya there. There's no evidence of knunya because it's legitimate that he would buy that kind of a piece of land in the middle of all of Shimon's property. However, but if we see that this is exactly like all the land, and all he did is he bought a little piece in the middle, and it's the same as everything else, Yarume kama arin. Says Rashi, or Ilo Yarume kama arin imbati likach etzlam. Yisalkuni. So this is what Levi's saying. If I come to buy Shimon's field, the guys around me are going to kick me out. So therefore, ekna ani beitza be'emtza. So I'll buy a part of a little piece of land, a significant piece of land in the middle of a big field of Shimon, and then eyani metzron l'chol ruach. I will be now a bar metzron in every direction. The eknani achrekein l'chol tzad v'lo yuchlu l'salkeni min ha-mechza u'min ha-notar l'kol ruach. Then they won't be able to kick me out. That's irume kama arin. If we see that there's nothing unique about the little piece that he bought in the middle of Shimon's field, we realize that there's a knunya going on here. And it might not even be a knunya between Shimon and Levi. It could be Levi is a smart guy. Levi has a good lawyer. And Levi consults with his lawyer and says, hey, is there any way I can buy Shimon's field without getting kicked out? Because I really want that field. So the lawyer says, you know what, go buy a piece in the middle first. First step. You own it and they can't kick you out. And then buy the rest of the field and they can't kick you out. So then we say, very sorry, guys. When you bought the first part in the middle and it's standard land, we right away make an announcement. You have no rights of bar mitzvah. This does not give you rights of bar mitzvah. We're not going to kick you out. We can't kick you out from the part that you bought, but we can certainly deprive you of any future bar mitzvah rights. Hilkach mehat. Oh, I'm sorry. Made a mistake. Whoa. Hilkach mehashta misalkinenle. Whoa. Wow.
Yeah, reverse the sale, right? The sale, the middle piece.
The adjacent neighbors can reverse the sale in the middle of Shimon's land. They have the right to reverse it. Because if they don't reverse it and they let the sale stand, then Levi will really be a bar mitzvah. Okay, so that's a little bit of a chiddush. And as I would have said, without this Rashi, I would have said that we're going to let Levi stay, but we won't give him bar mitzvah rights. And Rashi's implying there's no such thing. No such thing. If he's there, he has bar mitzvah rights. And therefore, what the neighbors have to do is they got to stop it now. And if they don't stop it, then he could become a bar mitzvah. That's what it sounds according to Rashi. I'm not saying all the other Rishonim, because we're not learning the sugya now of bar mitzvah. I don't remember if when we did, we saw the other Rishonim, whether other Rishonim argue on this. But again, let's keep going, because the goal here is just to see that this V'asisa Yashar Tov has lots and lots of limitations. Back into the Gemara. Matana. Here we go. This is where you'll see the balance between the benefit to the seller and the benefit to the benefit to the buyer. And we can't let it be at the expense of the seller. Matana. Okay, so again, we got Reuven is the neighbor, the adjacent. Shimon owns a field, and he gives a matana to Levi. Gives a matana to Levi. So now Reuven wants that field. He wants that field. And he's ready to pay, by the way, and he's ready to pay full price for it. He's not looking to get it for free, obviously. Okay, but Shimon gave a $100,000 field to Levi as a present, and now Reuven wants to go and give Levi $100,000 to get him off the field. Matana lesle mishum dinah de bar mitzvah. Says Rashi. No Rashi. Okay, but you understand why? You understand why? Well, we got to make sure you understand why. We got to go back to the reason for bar mitzvah. When Levi buy Shimon's field, Reuven can come to me and say, why are you buying a field here? Take the same money that you used to buy Shimon's field and buy a field somewhere else. Because fields are fungible. Okay, I like that phrase. Fields are fungible. So therefore, Asisa Vayasher Batov demands that Levi not buy right next to Reuven. But if Shimon gave Levi a present, well, what do you want from him? What are you telling him? Go get a present somewhere else? You can't tell him that. Okay, and therefore it's clear that there's no bar mitzvah on a matana. Does that make sense to everybody so far?
Yes.
What's that again?
If Shimon gives Levi the field b'matana, there's no din of bar mitzvah. You can't activate Asisa Yasher Vatov and tell Levi, go find a field somewhere else. Okay,
but Levi can now, as the makabel of the matana, be a bar mitzvah to his other neighbors.
Yeah, but why is that relevant? He's an owner. Levi becomes the owner of the field. Like Levi now owns the field, and he can't be removed. That now whatever happens in the future.
Mm-hmm.
But wait. Yeah. By the way, some people have a lot of trouble with what's coming up in the Gemara. Weren't these very honest people? You mean there were dishonest people in the time of the Talmud? Right? I mean, even the guy before, the guy who bought a little piece in the land, he's doing arumikam aram. He's trying to make a kunz. He's doing what they call in Yiddish foile shtick. Okay.
I see. In other words, you're saying it's not an actual matana.
Well, it depends. That's what we're going to see. It's a matana, unless look at the contingencies. Amar Ameimar. Ikosav le achrayus is ba mishum dina de bar metzra. If Reuben said, if Shimon says to Levi, I'm writing the field over to you, bimatana, and if for some reason a balchov comes to take it away, I'll give you a different field. What does that smell like?
Smells like yeah.
It smells like a cash deal under the table. Right? He had to write it as matana so that he won't be kicked out, but it's very clear that there was a cash exchange. Otherwise, what are you giving achrayus on a matana? An achrayus means that if you get taken away, I guarantee to give you. You want to give him a matana and somebody takes it away, you can always give him another matana, but we're making a contractual obligation that if the field gets taken away, you're making a contractual obligation to Levi to replace the field. That doesn't happen in a real matana. That only happens in a cash under the table deal. Okay, so we do look for indications that this is foilishting. Okay, all right. Next,
before we move on for a moment, why don't we say that the Baal Hasadeh should sell this field for $100,000, obviously to one of the neighbors.
One of the neighbors, but he wants to sell it to Levi
because he wants to give it to Levi. No. He wants to give Levi a field, right? Are you
talking about a real matana or a matana?
A real matana.
So why does that? So why is he selling it to one of the neighbors?
So because he wants to give Levi something of value.
No, he wants to give Levi the field.
It's funny. Okay, I understand.
He wants to give Levi the field. Listen, if I want to give you a present, I want to give you a car. Dan, I want to give you a car.
You don't want to give me $10,000.
I'm not going to give you 10. I don't want to give you. I'm going to give you a car. I have a car. I have an extra car in my garage, and I want to gift it to you. Now it's worth $10,000. Yeah. Oh no! So I go sell it so that I can have money to give it to you, and you go buy a car.
Got it. Okay.
All right. Good. Next. Mochar kol nechasav li'echad. The guy has 10 fields. One of the fields that he sold happens to be adjacent to Reuven's field. But he has 9 other fields distributed all around the country. And one buyer bought all 10 fields. No bar mitzvah. Does that make sense to you? Says Rashi. Oh, you can't figure out the reason for yourself? Well, this is one of the main points of the bar mitzvah asisa yasher v'hatov. If I am selling 10 of my fields to one person, but that person knows that one of those fields is subject to bar mitzvah, is he going to buy it? So that undermines my ability to find one purchaser for all 10 fields. So therefore, bar mitzvah cannot be activated for my disadvantage. Very important. This is here we're getting to see the subtleties of Asisa Yasher V'Hatov. Bar mitzvah is for the benefit of Reuven when there's no loss to Levi, and there's no loss to Shimon. Remember, we got to take Shimon into account here. If Shimon is going to be hampered by the fact that there's a bar mitzvah, then we can't activate bar mitzvah. And if Shimon wants to sell this field and 9 other fields, and the buyer knows that this field has a bar mitzvah on it, he's not going to buy it. Does this make sense? I hope everybody understands the logic here. Says Rashi. I'm pretty sure there's a Rashi here. Well, let's see the Rashi. Ikosav le'achrayus vaday mot mecherhu ain't close to an achrayus al matana. Okay, that's what we said. But what about mocher kol mechasav le'echad b'chol makom shehem zuba mizrach zuba ma'irav v'yotzu mitzronei achas mehem v'yiraru. He sold lots of fields, sold 10 fields, and one of the barei metzra. The truth is, any of those, probably all 10 of the fields have barei metzra. It's very likely that if you sold 10 fields, more than one of them is going to have a bar metzra, and they come running into court, and each one wants to get rid of the buyer. They can't, right? Less bu mishum dina de bar metzra. I'm in the Rashi. Shalo. Here's the key. Lo tiknu chachomim lilokeach lihistalek lasot hayosher v'hatov lebal hametzar shehu ra'a lemocher. We don't make a takana for the welfare of the bar metzra if it's at the expense of the seller. Shezel lo yikne hashar, right? Sheyim shoches yadav b'shvil zu. It's gonna compromise his ability to sell his fields. Uvemokom pseida de mocher lo tikun dina de bar metzra. Kidi omer lekamon. We're going to see other cases where I'm not going to. I'm not going to. I'll tell you what Rashi says. Hani tzayre v'hani shorele ba mishum dina de bar metzra. Again, bar metzra is for the benefit of the neighbor, not at the expense of the seller, and only a little inconvenience for the buyer. But at the minute it becomes at the expense of the seller, there's nothing to talk about. You can't worry about the welfare of the neighbor at the expense of the seller. And when you try to sell all the fields and you allow a bar metzra on any one of those fields, it undermines the ability of the seller to get a package deal of people to buy all the fields. Okay? Let's see, maybe one more line. Lebailim harishonim. Lesba mishum dinah bar metzra. What is Bailim Harishonim? I think there's a Rashi, otherwise I'll explain it to you outside. No, I'll explain to you outside. Bailim Harishonim. So here's the story. Reuven has a field. Shimon has a field that he bought from Yehuda 10 years ago. Okay? I'll keep it constant. Shimon has a field that he bought from Levi 10 years ago. And Shimon's been living on the field for 10 years. And now Levi wants to come and buy back his field. Is there a dinner of bar metzvah from Reuven? Can Reuven now, after Levi buys the field that he owned 10 years ago that he sold to Shimon? Says the Gemara, no. Reuven cannot get Levi off that field. Repurchasing a field that you used to own, you can't say, go buy a field somewhere else. Remember, the whole idea of bar metzvah is we tell Levi, why'd you buy it here? Go buy it somewhere else. But if he used to own the field, you can't say, go buy it somewhere else. I want my field back. I was strapped for cash. I had to let go of my field. And now I want to get my field back. So then he's insulated from bar metzvah. I hope that makes sense. But again, you see here the subtlety of the din of bar metzvah. It's all about asisa, yashar, v'atov. And we have to decide, how do we apply? What's yashar and tov? How far does it go? Okay, Rabbos, I will leave it at this. We're going to pick it up a little more in Bava Metzia next time. You have the sheet that I sent. Okay, because we're going to just see a Gemara in Bava Kama that's going to tie us back to Bava Metzia Lam and Love, and then maybe we'll get into the source sheet. So have your Bava Metzia, but also have a Bava Kama. Okay? Our Bezrat Hashem, see everybody on Sunday. Everybody should have a great Shabbos.
Thank you.
God bless. Thank you.
Kol Tuv.